Hello and welcome to the Summer Schooling YouTube channel. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, hello and welcome to the Summer Schooling Podcast. If you've subscribed to the channel already, thank you. And if you haven't and you like this video or the content that I put on my page, even if you don't like it, if you like it, give me a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll continue to put out this content for you. If you dislike it, leave me a comment in the comment section. Maybe we can keep this conversation going of what your grievance is. I'm open to it all, and I appreciate it all. In fact, appreciation is the first point of housekeeping that I want to settle before I get to the topic of this video. So one, I want to say thank you to all the comments that I've received from the videos and interviews that I've done these past 2 or 3 weeks. I never would have guessed that this stuff that I find interesting and fun is also seen and warmly received by the general public. I think that if you engage my content and you come through it with different conclusions from mine, that's a victory in itself. That I was able to have someone think through things that, for the most part, they don't really have an avenue to think through in their personal lives, because there are a lot of boundaries towards nuanced thought in today's society, I find, and I'm happy to give any viewer or listener an avenue to exploring topics and ideas. Second thing I want to bring up is that I had my first article published on Wrongspeak. Thank you to the author of Black Victim to Black Victor, Adam Coleman. He gave me this opportunity, and I repurposed that anti-racism reflection. You can watch the video here on the channel, or you can read the article that I repurposed, and it's posted on Wrongspeak. And yeah, I am very happy to say that it's my first article published. I always planned on writing. I'm still writing. This is just a boon along the way. And I'll put the link for both the video and the article in the description. So let's get to the topic for this video. Before I start, again, thank you for the reception. It motivates me a lot to give you guaranteed content every Friday. I have an interview with Peter Feliciano, musician, funny podcaster, and overall an inspiring human being to me and what I'm doing now. You'll get more information on that from the interview on Friday. Check it out. But for today, BS comes with all jobs. Now, the reason that's the title of this video is because that seems to be the number one response I receive from people when I tell them that I am leaving teaching. Conversations usually go like so. Hey, Nico, are you going to return to teaching next year? No, I don't want to. Why? Well, I want to write, and there was a lot of, BS around the job that had nothing to do with the class, and they would usually cut me off, and then they would say, but Nico, BS happens in all jobs. And when I hear that, I feel just very disheartened, because to me that's a mindset that some people in the general public have outside of education, and some teachers adopt that mindset while they're teaching. And to me, that kind of perpetuates the unrealistic expectations that are put on teachers in terms of what they have to do in addition to what they're called to do, which is teach kids academic subjects and teach them how to be a dignified citizen in a community. Let me just make this very clear from the beginning of this video. I am not arguing against hard work and work stressors. Both are essential to professional growth and even personal growth in your own life. You're gonna have to go through stresses, and it's gonna take hard work to get through those stresses if you want to get to the next level or the next level in your profession. What I am arguing against is the idea that all stresses are created equal and all stresses are necessary, because I've seen it firsthand that mindset results in basically abuse of a teacher I'm only speaking for teachers. You might see it in other avenues. I have. But it is that mindset that results in an abuse of a teacher's mind, an abuse of a teacher's time, and an abuse of a teacher's spirit. And people don't seem to understand just the bombardment of task that is given to a teacher that comes before they even have to work with kids. And I'm going to put that into perspective shortly, but let me give a quick story. The best job I ever had for in a school district was working as a groundskeeper. Best job. Not the funnest job, but it was the best job because it taught me so much about work ethic and discipline. And I worked this position from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. And I was lucky enough to work this job in my backyard. So every day, Monday through Friday, for 2 summers, I would work 7 to 3:30 groundskeeping, go home, book it, take a shower, and come back to the child care site where I would work with kids in kindergarten through 7th grade from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. I did that every day for 3 months, twice. And it was a physically taxing job. I remember hurting my back badly, and I was only 26, 25. I that back pain I wouldn't wish on anyone, but it was right after a shift, and I was hosting a capture the flag game for the kids in the summer. You gotta bring the water, or else you're gonna have dehydrated kids running around for a flag and passing out, and that just ruins the game. So I was carrying a water jug, and my back just gave out on me, and it was blindingly painful. I had to call off. But that was just stacking those 2 jobs was physically demanding. I loved it though. And after working for 2 years as a full-time teacher, I can say confidently that schedule that I had for those 2 summers was much more manageable and much more unencumbered than working as a full-time teacher. I know what you're thinking. Nico, well, how can you even say that? Did you not enjoy working with the kids? Did you not have any fun? You must have not been a good teacher. That is totally not correct. I actually had an amazing time working with the kids. That thank you there was given to me by one of my students during the full year distance experiment in 2020 at the end of the year. I had some kids outside of my apartment chalk a mural saying an A+ educator lives here. And that's just for my first school. The second school was just as successful. I'm not here to brag about the reception I've received from kids. What I'm trying to say, and what many teachers will agree with, is that their classroom, that time when it's just them and their students, and they're doing the job that they were hired to do, that's sanctuary for a lot of teachers. They don't complain about that part of the job. They complain about all the deafening noise that awaits them the second they exit that door onto the campus. So I'm going to prove to you that this isn't like me looking back in retrospect and putting a narrative on what I went through. I'm going to read you a journal entry that I wrote as this was happening in the peak of the year. This was actually during Christmas vacation, and I was having this thought. So this was written on December 27th, 2021. In regards to my restlessness the past few days, I would be naive to say it's not because of work. I realize now being a teacher sucks because even when you're not working, you're still being worked. Despite utilizing all the coping strategies at my disposal, I still feel the bombardment of stress waiting for me the second I return to work. That stuff weighs on your mind because teaching has you always thinking in tasks that need to be completed. Deadlines all the time. Deadlines for classroom, for tasks that have no use in your classroom. Emails that need to be answered. Events that you should attend. Lessons you should administer in your classroom. Lessons you have to get to. Lessons you want to get to. And lessons you need to get through. contacting coworkers, contacting parents, contacting people who are paid to tell you what's the best practice for your room. And I didn't even mention dealing with the kids emotionally and academically. You know, the thing I'm hired to deliver on. This job is so toxic with its micromanaging culture. Jobs are hard enough on a labor level. The added stress of being told everything in steps you must follow is unnecessarily taxing mentally. Yeah, I still stand by that, and I kind of am shocked that I was saying that early on. I want to say, full disclosure, there are some teachers and people out there who are probably going to hear this video and say, well, you didn't do enough to take care of yourself, Nico. Not true. I prioritized 8 hours of sleep every night, never compromised on that rule. Meditated for 20 minutes every day, never compromised on that rule. The first time first thing I got up in the morning, read for 20 minutes, read for 30 minutes before bed. Every night, I journaled. This whole journal was completed by January, and then that journal back there underneath that book, that journal was given by a student, and it's already halfway full. I was journaling all the time, exercising 5 days a week. I had a therapist who I would meet with once every 2 weeks. What I'm trying to say is that I understood that I needed to take care of myself to the best of my ability. I was not going to allow this stress to overwhelm me and bleed into the classroom. And, you know, I'll admit, sometimes it did. I'm not perfect. Even with all of these coping strategies, it still is just a burden on a teacher's peace of mind. It just is. So I'm going to end with this story because I think it encapsulates, it illustrates the position that teachers are in terms of being expected to cover so many bases on their own. And if they succeed, it's because it's the strategy that the school district told them is a winning strategy. If they fail at covering all of these bases, well, it's because they're just not doing enough and they're not taking care of themselves. I'll tie this back into the groundskeeping story. This is what I didn't share. I love this job, and it taught me a lot about work ethic and discipline because I had the honor of working alongside two men, both in their late 50s. I'm pretty sure they were retired from the steel trade, so these were grizzled workhorses. and every shift they would tell me, or they told me from the get-go, honor your lunch breaks and your clock out time, honor that too. You are not staying here after the bell because you need to take care of yourself. And in between that time, of when it wasn't lunch and when it wasn't clock out time, these 50-year-old guys were working at a pace that was so focused and so methodical and covering so much ground. They gave me sections, but they would take care of whole fields all by themselves through the course of 6 hours, 6 to 7 hours. It was impressive. And what stinks is that those two men were the only groundskeepers in the whole school district. Those two men were expected to cover 6 campuses all by themselves. Yes, I came in only on the summer, so one extra help to cover 6 school campuses, and one helper for 3 months of the whole year. The rest of the year it was just, no, it's your responsibility. Yeah, you can feel how is that possible? And one of my coworkers at the time, there wasn't a second of idleness in the shifts working alongside him. And very often he would be at a site working, getting a lot of a task done that he was asked to do. Because he couldn't get to it, he gets pulled from that site because they say, oh, you got to go cover this school. They're complaining about their weeds by their office building. Take care of that. So he would go and cover that. And then, of course, naturally, the weeds at the place that he was working on would grow back. I wasn't working with him at the time. But this sort of cycle of Hey, you're not covering the base that we expect you to cover. Move over here. Move over here. Do this. Do that. It got to him. And on one shift in a hot summer, while he was working on a site that he finally got to get to, they told him again, hey, you're slacking on this one school over here. Can you go over there and stop what you're doing? He flipped. And he was livid because he's like, I'm trying to do my job. I can't do it. He has a heart attack on the shift. He's fortunately he's still alive. But he has a heart attack because of all those expectations put on him, and the sort of very light, condescending, you're not really doing your job well enough, that accumulated into stress that gave him a heart attack. And did the school district, hire more groundskeepers to help lighten the burden of this job for him? Nope. They gave him some cards, said, get better, good to see you, you're alive, here's some flowers. And unfortunately, I still see him working groundskeeping occasionally, and I don't think they've even hired new help as of making this video. But when people say all jobs have their BS, say that to those two men. And what, are you going to look at them and say, well, you should have worked harder, this is just BS that comes with the job? That taxing environment just gave this man a heart attack. And it wasn't a question of his work ethic, because he was doing the best that his body can do. And no one really wanted to help lighten the load of his job with its unrealistic expectations. So it results in, unfortunately, his heart having problems. And it results in teachers crying in their cars. It results in teachers having panic attacks in the middle of class. It results in so many ways. So please, if you are a teacher right now, exercise your rights and your power to say no to things. A lot of useless tasks are going to be thrown at you. Handle what you're obligated to handle. It's going to pester you. It's totally going to pester you. But you have to say no to some of the the weird requests that parents will give you, that administration will give you, that the district will give you. Say no, because if you say yes to everything, like the good student, I'm just trying to be part of the team, you are giving away your peace of mind and your time that you could use to really cultivate new ideas for your classroom and the students that you were hired to connect with. That's what you're hired to do. Never forget that. Don't get lost in all the tasks. Remember what you are hired to do. It's your priority to make this school year the most intellectually and spiritually engaging year that these kids can experience. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Please, again, like, comment, subscribe, and I'm looking forward to posting the interview with Peter this Friday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.